Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to discuss about the most important topic in physiology, that is the neural regulation of respiration. Now this neural regulation of respiration is classified into neural regulation as well as chemical regulation. Now this neural regulation, it is taking place in the brain. So in brain, the most important center is our pons as well as medulla. Okay, so we saw about the different types of regulation of respiration, that is the neural regulation and the chemical regulation. So we saw that the neural regulation is taking place in the brain, that is in the pons and medulla, and in the chemical regulation, due to various factors like changes in the O2, changes in the CO2 as well as H+, we are having a chemoreceptors taking place in the chemical regulation. So this is just the introduction about this chapter. Now specifically, I am going to deal with the neural regulation. Now what are the centers for the respiration? Depending upon the neural regulation, we will see. So we have pons and medulla. Remember, in pons we are having 2 groups and medulla we are having 3 groups. Now what are those groups, sir? In pons we are having 2 groups. One is pneumotaxic center as well as apneustic center. Now in the pneumotaxic center, it is present in the upper part. So I named this as pneumotaxic center. Okay, sir. Now in lower part, you are having apneustic center. So very simple. Pons we are having 2 groups and in medulla we are having 3 groups. So we saw about the centers present in the pons. Now we will see about medulla. So medulla we are having three groups, right? That is dorsal respiratory group, here ventral respiratory group, and very important complex, that is pre-Bolzinger complex. Okay, very simple. See, we are having the dorsal respiratory group, that is DRG. Okay, and here we are having the ventral respiratory group, and top of this, okay, above the ventral respiratory group, we are having a very important complex, that is pre-Bolzinger, okay, complex. So we discussed about the centers of the groups present in the pons and medulla. Now what is the regulation or what is the function of these centers what we have discussed? We will see now. Very important. Now we'll see, we'll take pons now. So in our pons we have the upper part and lower part, right? So in the upper part we are having the pneumotaxic center. Very important. Pneumotaxic center is going to limit the respiration. How it is going to limit the respiration? Very important. This pneumotaxic center is going to just inhibit the apneustic center. So they can ask in Viva, what is the function of pneumotaxic center? It is going to limit the respiration. How is limiting this respiration, sir? It is going to inhibit the apneustic center. So because of this, what happens? There will be increase in the respiratory rate. Very simple. Now we will see about the apneustic center. See, apneustic center is going to prolong the inspiration. Very important and very simple. Prolong the inspiration. That is the function of apneustic center. Okay. So we saw about the pons, centers, and as well as the function of it. Now we will see about the medulla. So medulla we saw about the pre-Bolzinger complex, which is the pacemaker neuron. Very important. Here see, pacemaker neuron for respiration. Okay. Now this pacemaker neuron, that is the pre-Bolzinger complex, is going to initiate the respiration. Very simple. Now we are having the dorsal respiratory group and ventral respiratory group. Listen, the dorsal respiratory group is going to generate a signal called as ramp signal, and because of this ramp signal, there is a steady increase or rise in the tidal volume. Understand? Tidal volume is what, sir? 500 ml. Very simple. That is the function of the dorsal respiratory group. Now what about ventral respiratory group? Very important. See, remember this as a mnemonic, okay, called as dive. What is this dive, sir? D is dorsal respiratory group for inspiration. V is ventral respiratory group for expiration. And very important condition, in ventral respiratory group, it has got no role in controlling expiration at rest, because it is a passive process. You have lung, okay, it's going to stretch, it's acting as a spring, so lung is acting like a spring, understand? So this VRG has got no role for expiration at rest. Now what is the condition, sir? So VRG controls forceful expiration only during exercise, understand? So it controls the expiration during the exercise. Now this extra expiratory effect, we call it as extra respiratory drive or overdrive phenomenon. Very simple. These are the functions of the complex or the groups, understand? Now we will see about integration of the respiration. So we are going to integrate all those complexes or centers, okay, and what is the function we are going to see now. Listen carefully. Integration of the respiration. First is the inspiration. What is going to happen? See, inspiration we are going to divide into three types. One is initiation of the inspiration, another one is maintenance of the inspiration, and termination of the inspiration. Listen carefully. Initiation of inspiration, what is happening? We are having the pacemaker, pre-Bolzinger complex to initiate the inspiration. So we are having the pacemaker, pre-Bolzinger complex present in the medulla, and that is going to activate our spinal cord or the phrenic nerve, okay, with the root value C3, C4 and C5. That is our phrenic nerve. It is going to activate. Now what is going to happen, sir? There will be a contraction of diaphragm. If there is contraction in diaphragm, absolutely it is going to cause inspiration. Very simple. So what we learned, initiation, that is the pre-Bolzinger complex is going to initiate acting as a pacemaker, and then the spinal cord, the phrenic nerve C3, C4 and C5, okay, root value of the phrenic nerve is there, and it's going to cause contraction of the diaphragm, and then our inspiration takes place. Now how is going to maintain the inspiration? Very important. So here in the lower pons we are having the apneustic center. So this apneustic center is going to cause the activation of dorsal respiratory group. So what is the function of dorsal respiratory group? It is going to cause a signal called as ramp signal, and that is going to cause a steady rise in the tidal volume. We discussed. So a rise in the tidal volume to 500 ml. Very simple. Now termination. Termination, who is going to come? Our apneustic center. Now this apneustic center has got different inhibition. Who is going to inhibit apneustic center? We already know this pneumotaxic center. So this pneumotaxic center is going to inhibit the apneustic center. But one more center is there, which is coming from the lung. Who are they? Vagus efferents. Okay, these are the vagus efferents coming from the lung, and that is going to activate or inhibit the dorsal respiratory group. Very simple. Okay, so we saw about the inspiration, that is the initiation, maintenance and termination of the inspiration. In next video we will be seeing about the expiration and other things. Thank you.